Welcome to Buddhist Wisdom Daily. In this video, we're diving into a powerful aspect of life that you may never have considered: how the things you keep in your home affect your energy and prosperity. Have you ever felt like your life is stuck in a rut, or that everything you desire always seems just out of reach? If so, it might be because of one or more of the 5 things you're holding onto at home. In Buddhism and the profound teachings on energy, everything around us carries a unique energy. So how can we harness this to bring positivity and growth? Stay with us until the end to discover how removing certain things can clear the path toward a life of abundance, happiness, and peace. In Buddhist teachings, everything carries energy, an invisible force that reflects the intentions, actions, and emotions associated with it. Clothing, for instance, is far more than just fabric that covers our bodies. It can carry the emotional imprints and energetic residue of past states of mind. When we hold onto clothes from previous chapters of our lives, we often hold onto the emotions, mindsets, and even the identities tied to them. Buddhist wisdom teaches that attachment to these past versions of ourselves can prevent us from embracing growth and moving forward on our spiritual journey. Imagine a man named Taro who feels a sense of stagnation in his life. He's recently gone through a breakup, his job feels uninspiring, and he's plagued by a sense of purposelessness. Seeking guidance, he visits a local temple and speaks to a Buddhist monk. The monk listens carefully and suggests a simple but profound exercise. Go home, open your wardrobe, and examine each piece of clothing you own. Keep only what truly represents who you are today. Let go of the rest, especially those tied to the past you wish to move on from. Intrigued, Taro goes home and pulls out an old jacket that he wore almost every day during his relationship with his ex-partner. Each stitch, each color brings back memories, both good and painful. But as he gazes at the jacket, he realizes that the attachment to this clothing keeps him rooted in the past, to a time and a self that no longer serves his journey forward. Taro begins to see that the jacket, while once valuable, is now a barrier to his personal growth. Following the monk's advice, he donates the jacket, along with several other pieces of clothing tied to past versions of himself. Afterward, Taro feels a subtle but undeniable lightness, as if releasing the clothing allowed him to create space for new experiences, new perspectives, and new versions of himself. Opportunities soon follow: a new job offer, an invitation to travel, and even new connections. Taro learns through this simple act that the energy of attachment not only binds him to the past, but limits the flow of positive energy and growth into his life. This concept aligns with the Buddhist principle of impermanence. In the Dhammapada, it is written that all that we are is the result of what we have thought. This phrase captures the idea that our internal states create our external realities. The act of keeping clothes or objects tied to outdated identities or emotional wounds from the past creates resistance to the natural, ever-evolving journey of self-discovery. It subtly encourages a clinging to a self that no longer exists, counteracting the Buddhist path toward enlightenment, where one aims to release attachments and embrace impermanence as the truth of existence. There are many similar stories throughout Buddhist history that illustrate the freeing power of non-attachment. One well-known story is that of a young monk who struggled with his vow of poverty and simplicity. He constantly worried about his single set of robes, patching them over and over, unwilling to let them go even as they wore thin. His teacher noticed this attachment and offered the young monk a powerful lesson. the teacher took him to a river and showed him the flow of water. Notice that the water flows freely and naturally because it holds on to nothing. It lets each moment go as it comes, flowing toward new places, embracing the changes. By understanding this, the young monk learned that he too could flow more freely by not clinging to objects, possessions, or even his past. From these teachings, we come to realize that clothes and objects tied to specific memories or periods in our lives create subtle yet potent barriers in our path toward true freedom. Buddhist teachings on non-attachment show us that letting go of these physical items is a way of practicing non-attachment at a spiritual level. Moreover, these principles align with the law of attraction. The law of attraction asserts that like energy attracts like energy, suggesting that by holding on to items associated with past struggles or identities, we may unknowingly attract similar energies or events into our present. However, by letting go and focusing on who we aspire to become, we attract positive transformations. This Buddhist exercise of letting go reminds us that we are the sculptors of our lives, shaping our present and future by consciously shedding the remnants of who we used to be. Ultimately, the lesson of Taro's story and the Buddhist teachings on non-attachment to physical objects like clothing show us that letting go is not about loss, but about creating space. It is about honoring the impermanence of all things, including our sense of self. Embracing this truth allows us to continually move forward, unburdened and open to the journey that awaits. As we learn to release our grasp on the objects, memories, and identities that no longer serve us, we set ourselves on a path of personal growth, inner peace, and spiritual alignment. Embracing the ever-unfolding nature of life with a sense of freedom and hope. In Buddhism, there is an intrinsic connection between our physical environment and our inner world. Every object in our surroundings holds energy, and broken items, in particular, carry disrupted or stagnant energy. This disharmony can subtly affect our emotional state and relationships, creating a sense of heaviness, frustration, or even conflict. When we keep broken items, we invite these negative energies to linger, much like clinging to unresolved emotions or past traumas. The Buddhist understanding of karma and energetic flow reminds us that our environment is a reflection of our internal state, and maintaining it with care is part of our spiritual practice. Consider the story of a family living in an old house filled with broken furniture, chipped dishes, and non-functional electronics. These items collected dust and took up space, creating a sense of chaos and heaviness. Over time, family members noticed rising tension in their relationships, frequent arguments over small matters, and a feeling of stagnation. The father of the family, intrigued by this growing negativity, consulted a monk at a nearby temple. The monk explained that their cluttered home and broken belongings were a physical manifestation of unresolved emotions, blocked intentions, and accumulated frustrations. If you want peace within, create peace around you, the monk advised. Begin by letting go of what no longer serves you, just as you would release grudges or anger. Inspired, the family began to clear out their space, carefully sorting through broken items and letting go of those they could no longer repair. Each broken item they discarded seemed to lift a weight off their minds. The cracked mirror in the hallway, which no one had bothered to fix, was finally replaced, symbolizing a fresh perspective and clearer self-reflection. With each item they removed, they felt the house becoming lighter, airier, and more harmonious. Interestingly, as the home cleared, so did the family's interpersonal issues. The arguments diminished, laughter returned, and a new sense of calm permeated the household. This process showed them that their environment directly impacted their emotional well-being and relationships. The Buddhist concept of karma illustrates this principle. Our actions, including the way we maintain our surroundings, contribute to the energy that surrounds us. Broken objects can hold stagnant or negative karma, a residue of past neglect or unresolved energy. When we keep them, we unconsciously keep ourselves in a state of attachment to brokenness, mirroring internal struggles or unresolved conflicts. In one sense, the act of discarding broken objects becomes a ritual of letting go, a symbolic shedding of energies that no longer serve us. Just as we might release toxic thoughts or negative emotions through meditation and mindfulness, we also release these energies from our physical space by removing broken or unused items. Another story illustrating this connection between the integrity of space and inner peace is that of the Buddhist teachings on simple living and mindfulness. It is said that the Buddhist followers, the monks, were instructed to keep only the necessities, as clutter distracted from spiritual practice. One day, a monk noticed a crack in his bowl. He initially ignored it, thinking it was just a small flaw, but over time, the crack grew, and he found himself worrying that the bowl would shatter at any moment. His mind began to fixate on the bowl, worrying each day, distracted from his meditation. Finally, the Buddha advised him to let go of the bowl and find a new one, explaining that a cracked bowl, much like unresolved worries or lingering attachments, could detract from clarity and peace. The monk found that with a new bowl, his mind became less anxious, and he could once again focus on his practice without unnecessary distractions. This lesson of letting go of broken items extends beyond material possessions. It encourages us to examine our attachments to mental and emotional clutter as well. Just as a broken item disrupts the flow of energy in a space, unresolved issues and lingering attachments can disrupt the flow of energy within us, keeping us in a loop of emotional stagnation. Buddhist teachings urge us to acknowledge these inner disruptions and, through mindfulness and compassion, let go of what no longer serves our journey. This practice is akin to cleaning a physical space, creating an environment within that is conducive to peace, balance, and clarity. As we clear out broken objects, we create an environment where positive energy flows freely. This principle is also reflected in the law of attraction, where the energy we surround ourselves with influences what we attract into our lives. By choosing to maintain only what is whole, useful, and aligned with our present selves, we invite similar energies of completeness, growth, and harmony into our lives. Our environment, therefore, becomes a mirror of our inner world, reminding us that just as we care for our physical surroundings, we must also tend to our inner landscape, clearing out old patterns, healing past hurts, and embracing the energy of renewal. The story of the family who found peace by clearing out broken items serves as a reminder of the Buddhist view that life is impermanent, and we must not cling to things that hold us back. In essence, keeping broken items is a way of clinging to the past, preventing ourselves from fully engaging in the present. When we embrace the integrity of space, we align with the Buddhist path of mindfulness and intentional living. This process of clearing away the broken pieces, both tangible and intangible, sets us free, allowing us to create a life filled with harmony, positive energy, and mindful awareness. It is a gentle but profound practice, reminding us that by nurturing our surroundings, we nurture our souls, finding a deeper alignment with the path of enlightenment and inner peace. In Buddhism, the concept of a life journey is central to understanding personal growth and enlightenment. Every step we take on this path brings us closer to self-awareness, compassion, and peace. Shoes, as humble as they may seem, carry profound symbolic meaning in this journey. They represent not just physical movement, but also the choices and direction of our lives. Taking care of our shoes can be viewed as an act of honoring our journey, a reflection of our commitment to a clear and positive path forward. Imagine the story of a young monk named Tenzin. Tenzin had a single pair of shoes that he wore every day for his chores, studies, and travels through the village to the temple. Over time, his shoes grew worn and tattered, with soles thinning and stitching fraying. Despite their condition, Tenzin felt a strong attachment to them, as they had been with him through many significant experiences, including his first meditation retreat and his journey to enlightenment. He was reluctant to part with them, feeling that they had become an inseparable part of his identity. One day, Tenzin's teacher noticed his reluctance and shared a story from the Buddha's life. When the Buddha traveled with his disciples, he often wore simple sandals that he would replace as they wore out from the journey. The Buddha taught that just as we outgrow material objects, we also outgrow certain stages of our lives. To hold on to what no longer serves us is to resist the natural flow of change and progress. Understanding this lesson, Tenzin reluctantly decided to let go of his old shoes and replace them with a new pair. As he did, he felt a strange sense of liberation, as though he were shedding not only his old shoes, but also old attachments and burdens. His new shoes felt lighter, symbolizing a fresh perspective and a renewed commitment to his path. This act of replacing worn-out shoes is not merely a physical action, but a symbolic gesture of embracing change and new beginnings. It is a reminder that we must care for our journey, respecting each stage as we grow and adapt. In Buddhism, this aligns with the principle of non-attachment, where we release the things that weigh us down, understanding that each moment and each step is impermanent. Another story that illustrates this theme is that of a woman named Ananda, who was embarking on a new phase in her life after a series of challenging experiences. She had endured a difficult divorce, moved to a new city, and started a job that was far outside her comfort zone. One day, as she looked down at her old shoes, she realized they were symbolic of the pain and struggle she had been carrying. They were scuffed and worn, marked by the miles she had walked while feeling lost and uncertain. Deciding to make a change, she bought a new pair of shoes, consciously choosing a bright color that symbolized her hope and determination to start anew. Wearing these new shoes, Ananda found herself standing taller, with a newfound sense of confidence and purpose. Her steps felt lighter, her mind clearer. For her, the new shoes became a daily reminder of her choice to move forward, to let go of the past, and to embrace the present with openness and courage. Ananda's story reflects a Buddhist understanding of intention. Just as she consciously chose new shoes as a symbol of her journey, we can use mindful actions and symbols to reinforce our intentions and aspirations. Buddhism teaches that each step we take on the path of life is a manifestation of our karma and intentions. Our journey is shaped by our actions, thoughts, and choices, and the way we care for the symbols of that journey, like our shoes, reflects our care for the journey itself. Keeping our shoes in good condition, mending or replacing them when necessary, becomes an act of self-care and respect for the path we are on. It shows that we value our journey, honoring each step as an opportunity to learn and grow. In the Zen tradition, monks leave their shoes neatly arranged at the entrance of the meditation hall as a symbol of respect and mindfulness. This act of arranging one's shoes is a metaphor for aligning one's intentions and grounding oneself in the present moment. By placing their shoes with care, they demonstrate reverence not only for the space they enter, but also for the journey that brought them there. In this small, seemingly mundane action, they honor the practice of mindfulness, recognizing that even the simplest acts carry deeper meaning and intentionality. As we move forward in life, we might encounter many metaphorical shoes that no longer fit or serve us. Relationships, habits, or even mental patterns can grow worn, holding us back from growth. Recognizing when to let go and when to embrace change is part of the Buddhist practice of mindfulness and self-compassion. We learn that just as shoes protect and support our physical journey, the choices we make, whether to hold on or to let go, protect and support our spiritual path. Ultimately, shoes remind us of the Buddhist lesson that life is a journey. Each step matters, and each symbol along the way, whether a pair of worn shoes or a new pair, has the power to reflect our inner state and guide our outer path. By paying attention to these symbols, maintaining them with care, and releasing them when the time comes, we cultivate a mindful, respectful approach to life's journey, one that honors the path we have walked and the possibilities that lie ahead. Through this practice, we align ourselves with the present moment, moving forward with clear purpose, open to the lessons each step brings. In Buddhism, one of the core teachings is the concept of impermanence, the understanding that everything is in a constant state of change, including the people we love and the objects they leave behind. The practice of detachment, particularly in letting go of objects associated with loved ones who have passed, is seen not as an act of forgetting but as a way to honor their memory more freely and to release the emotional weight that may hinder our own spiritual journey. This chapter explores how releasing these objects with gratitude can be a profound practice for healing, rooted in the Buddhist principles of non-attachment and the transient nature of life. Imagine the story of a woman named Maya, who lost her mother unexpectedly. Maya found it difficult to part with her mother's belongings, especially her favorite scarf that still carried her mother's fragrance. Every time she saw it, she felt both comforted and trapped in a cycle of sorrow, unable to move forward while clinging to this piece of her mother. A part of her feared that letting go of the scarf would mean losing a piece of her mother, as though the essence of her mother's love was woven into the fabric itself. Seeking guidance, Maya visited a Buddhist temple, where she met a compassionate monk who listened to her story. The monk explained that objects can carry emotional imprints and serve as reminders, but they are not the essence of our loved ones. The true connection, he taught her, exists within the heart and the mind, not in any physical item. To illustrate this, he shared a story from the Buddha's life, a time when one of Buddha's followers grieved deeply for his lost friend. The Buddha advised him that holding on to grief through material things was like holding onto a flame that could never be extinguished, keeping his heart in a constant state of suffering. The follower learned that true remembrance and honoring come from within, free from material attachments. Taking this lesson to heart, Maya decided to let go of her mother's scarf. She placed it in a river, watching as the water carried it away, feeling both a sense of release and a strange tranquility. She didn't feel that her mother was disappearing. Rather, she felt closer to her mother's spirit, which was no longer confined to an object, but was instead present in her own memories and in every act of kindness and wisdom her mother had taught her. In Buddhist practice, this type of release is often marked by a ritual of gratitude, where the individual reflects on the love and memories that the person brought into their life and acknowledges that love as an inseparable part of themselves. It is a way to let go without forgetting, to honor without clinging. Another powerful story that illustrates this practice is that of a man named Rajiv, who struggled to let go of his father's ring. His father, who had passed away years ago, wore the ring every day and often spoke about its sentimental value. For Rajiv, the ring became a symbol of his father's strength, wisdom, and guidance. He wore it every day, feeling a mixture of pride and sorrow each time he looked at it. However, as time went on, Rajiv noticed that his attachment to the ring began to weigh on him. He found himself fearing that he might lose it or damage it, and this anxiety gradually overshadowed the peace he once felt in remembering his father. Seeking peace, Rajiv met with a Buddhist teacher who explained the concept of letting go with gratitude. The teacher told him a traditional story about the Buddha's disciples, who were encouraged to give away their most cherished possessions to practice non-attachment. The story conveyed that by releasing these items, they could find deeper spiritual connection, free from dependence on the physical. Rajiv took this lesson to heart, deciding to pass his father's ring to his own son, accompanied by stories of his father's wisdom and love. In doing so, he felt a newfound clarity and a lighter spirit, as if his father's legacy was now carried within him, rather than within the ring. His son, now the new custodian of the ring, felt honored and connected to the family's lineage, yet without feeling weighed down by it. This experience exemplifies how in Buddhism, releasing something can become an act of transformation, turning an object into a living legacy, free from attachment and fear. Letting go of objects tied to those who have passed is not about erasing memory, but about embracing the transient nature of all things and finding inner peace within that understanding. The Buddhist concept of karma teaches that attachments bind us, not only in this life, but across lifetimes. By releasing these objects with a heart full of gratitude, we are not only setting ourselves free but also honoring the karmic journey of our loved ones, allowing their energy to transition peacefully without being bound to the physical. In some Zen monasteries, there are rituals where monks release items left by previous teachers, symbolic of respect for their teachings without becoming attached to their belongings. This act serves as a reminder to live fully in the present, honoring past teachers and loved ones without allowing their possessions to hold us back from our own path. This perspective teaches that memories and love exist within, in the intangible realms of the heart and mind, unaffected by the transient world of material things. In embracing this practice, we learn to appreciate that true connection to loved ones transcends physical items. Each time we practice gratitude and remember their essence without needing a material anchor, we are honoring their memory in a purer, more liberated way. We carry forward their love in our own actions, words, and choices. This inner freedom aligns us more closely with the Buddhist ideals of detachment, compassion, and the serene acceptance of impermanence. Through this, we cultivate a deeper connection to life's ever-flowing nature, celebrating both what was and what remains within us as we move forward on our journey. In Buddhist philosophy, simplicity and clarity are key aspects of a harmonious life. Just as an uncluttered mind can lead to inner peace, an uncluttered physical environment creates a space where positive energy can flow freely, promoting harmony and mindfulness. The process of decluttering aligns with the teachings of Buddhism on non-attachment and the impermanence of material things. In creating space within our surroundings, we invite a clearer mind, a calmer spirit, and a more open heart. Consider the story of Hannah, a young woman whose life felt overwhelming and stagnant. Her home, cluttered with items she rarely used or even remembered owning, became a physical manifestation of her mental state, clouded, burdened, and resistant to change. Hannah would often feel anxious without knowing why, and her relationships suffered as a result. She became easily frustrated, short-tempered, and rarely felt at ease. In search of peace, she decided to visit a Buddhist temple, where she sought guidance from a monk. The monk advised her to look within her environment as a reflection of her mind. He suggested that the items in her home carried memories, attachments, and emotions, and that by letting go of those she no longer needed, she could create space for new energy and a renewed perspective. Following the monk's advice, Hannah began to go through her belongings one by one, questioning each item's purpose in her life. The process was not easy, as she realized many objects were tied to memories she hadn't fully processed. A small box held letters from an old relationship that had ended painfully, while a drawer contained clothes she had not worn in years but felt too guilty to discard. However, as she let go of each item, she began to feel lighter, as though she was releasing not only the objects but the emotional weight they carried. Her home slowly transformed into a simpler, more spacious place, and along with it, Hannah's heart felt more open. She noticed that her thoughts became less cluttered and her emotions more balanced. Her relationships improved as she became more patient and understanding, no longer weighed down by her past. The idea of decluttering as a spiritual practice is deeply rooted in Buddhist tradition. There is a well-known Zen parable of a man who visits a Zen master, seeking wisdom. The master offers him tea, and as he pours, the cup overflows. The man, confused, asks why the master continues pouring. The master responds, "Like this cup, you are full of your own assumptions and preconceptions. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" This story illustrates the value of creating space within ourselves and our surroundings to allow for new insights and peace. Just as the overflowing cup could not hold any more tea, a cluttered mind and environment leave little room for growth, wisdom, or tranquility. Another tale speaks of a wealthy man who, after a lifetime of accumulating possessions, realized he was still unsatisfied. He visited a Buddhist monk, hoping to learn the path to peace. The monk instructed him to give away half of his belongings, then return for more teachings. Reluctantly, the man parted with half his possessions, feeling a surprising sense of relief. Upon returning, the monk then told him to give away half of what remained. Although challenging, the man complied, finding his mind clearer and his heart more at peace with each step. Finally, after many rounds of letting go, he returned with only a simple robe and a cup. The monk smiled and said, "Now you understand the path to true peace. When we cling to less, we experience more." These teachings emphasize that when we declutter, we do more than organize our physical space. We engage in a process of self-reflection, questioning our attachments and understanding our fears. In Buddhist practice, this self-inquiry is part of the path to enlightenment. We learn that our possessions, once seen as sources of happiness or status, often carry an invisible weight. By letting them go, we confront the attachments and desires they represent, making room for a simpler, more intentional way of life. A simple, harmonious environment can also reflect inner balance and mindfulness. In Zen Buddhism, monks often keep their living spaces minimal, not as an aesthetic choice, but as a means of cultivating presence and awareness. Each item in their space has a purpose, and nothing is superfluous. This simplicity allows for an undistracted mind, free from the impulse to acquire or cling. The idea is not to renounce all belongings, but to be mindful of their purpose and impact. When we surround ourselves with fewer distractions, we are better able to connect with the present moment, and in that space, we find peace. Decluttering also reflects the Buddhist teaching of letting go or detachment, which does not mean abandoning everything but learning to live without grasping. Each item we release can be an opportunity to practice non-attachment, recognizing that our true value and happiness are not tied to material things. In letting go, we honor impermanence and practice acceptance, understanding that objects come and go, as do life's moments. As we create physical space, we make way for a greater mental spaciousness, a room within ourselves where peace can settle, unhindered by the need for more. This principle extends to all areas of our lives, from our homes to our relationships and even our thoughts. Clutter, whether physical or emotional, creates noise that blocks us from fully experiencing life. By choosing to simplify, we cultivate a mind that is quiet, open, and able to see clearly. This clarity, in turn, helps us approach challenges with wisdom and compassion, as we are no longer clouded by the distractions of what we own or desire. In decluttering, we move closer to a life aligned with the essence of Buddhist teachings, a life that values simplicity, presence, and peace. It is a reminder that true harmony does not come from acquiring more, but from appreciating less, from understanding that beauty lies not in abundance, but in the intentionality and mindfulness of each choice we make. In clearing our space, we clear our mind and soul, making way for a journey toward true inner peace. We've just explored 5 things that may be blocking the flow of positive energy in your life. By letting go of these items, you're not only clearing physical space, but also creating mental and emotional space for new opportunities and positive change. As the great teachings remind us, our environment reflects our inner state, and when we align it with our goals and values, we set the stage for incredible transformations. Start today. Make your home a sanctuary that nurtures your spirit and supports your journey. Thank you for watching Wisdom of the Buddha. If you found this video valuable, leave a comment, like, and share it. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. May you be blessed with peace and joy on your journey.